Welcome back to the garage. This is Token Teardown, the show where we jack crypto projects up on the lift, crawl underneath with a flashlight, and explain what's actually going on under the hood. No hype, no vibes, no trust me, bro. Today's project on the lift is Infinex, ticker INX. And this one didn't come in the usual way. It hit Coinbase. That was the catalyst. So I printed it up, walked it straight over to XXX's desk and said, we need a teardown. ASAP. No runway, no warm up, and when XXX gets a rush order, he doesn't scroll Twitter. He pulls the white papers, checks the GitHub commits, looks at what's actually shipping, not what's being promised, reads the token docs, the audits, the roadmap, and cross-checks where the claims stop and the code starts. 2 days later, the man comes back looking cooked and says, all right, here it is. Now, before anyone jumps ahead, yes, we will cover price predictions. We completely understand. That's everyone's favorite part. But before we talk numbers, before we talk charts, we have to answer the real question. Does INX deserve a spot in your wallet? Because price without fundamentals is just revving an engine in neutral. And here's the thing. This token isn't really a car. It's more like a dealership, a DeFi dealership. So the real question becomes this. In that world, is Infinex the CarMax of DeFi with real systems, real flow, and repeat customers? Or is it just another pot lot with a good building, a few banners, and some shiny inventory out front? Before we drop this thing on the lift, smash the like, hit the follow, and share this with your fellow degens. Yes, even your crazy uncle. You know the one. The guy you swear has XRP tattooed on his rear end, still talking about $10,000 a coin. One thing's for sure, we respect his conviction. He alone is the reason you never sell. And if there's a project you want on the lift, leave it in the comments. We read them all. Yours might be next. All right, let's put the dealership on the lift and see what's actually in the service bay. Lift it, lock it, lights on, let's tear it down. Before we touch the tech, before we talk UX, before we talk tokenomics, we need to talk about who built this thing. Infinex is led by Kane Warwick, the founder of Synthetics. That matters. Kane isn't a first cycle founder. He's not anonymous, and he's not learning on your capital. He's already dealt with governance fights, token blowups, liquidity stress, and regulators asking uncomfortable questions. He's survived a full market cycle, actually more than one. That doesn't make Infinex a guaranteed win, but it does mean this dealership wasn't thrown together by weekend mechanics. Here's the part people miss. Infinex isn't being built like a science experiment. It's being built by someone who already knows where users quit, where UX breaks, and where decentralized stops being fun. Beyond Kane, this is not a personality-stacked project. The credibility comes from infrastructure partners, not influencers. Secure passkey wallet tech, proven execution venues, serious auditors, a foundation structure handling governance and treasury, quiet, execution-focused, product-first, and behavior matters. When the community pushed back on early valuation expectations, the team adjusted. When questions came up around unlocks and incentives, they answered them publicly. That's not perfection, that's signal. So the pit crew takeaway is simple. This isn't a rug crew. This isn't a meme launch. This is a team that knows exactly how hard this road is and chose to drive it anyway. Now that we know who built the dealership, the next question is obvious. What did they actually build? All right, let's slow this down and get precise, because this is where credibility is earned. Infinex is not a layer 1. It's not a layer 2. And it's not settling trades itself. Infinex is a non-custodial interface and orchestration layer. Mechanic version. It doesn't build engines. It doesn't pave roads. It doesn't own the fuel. It runs the control system that tells existing engines where to go, when to fire, and how to get there smoothly. Coder version. It's a front-end plus smart contract routing layer that coordinates wallets, execution venues, and chains without custody. Now let's break it down cleanly. At the wallet level, Infinex uses passkey-based key management instead of seed phrases. Your private keys are generated and secured using modern authentication standards backed by secure hardware. You log in like a normal app, but the keys stay yours. No seed phrase screenshots, no paper backups, no, if you lose this, you're done forever. From a mechanics perspective, this replaces a manual choke and carburetor with fuel injection and a push-button start. Same engine, much harder to stall. From a coder's perspective, this is modern auth layered on top of self-custody, not custodial key storage. Next, execution. Infinex does not run its own order books. It does not custody assets. It does not replace existing protocols. Instead, it uses smart contracts to handle routing, gas abstraction, transaction batching, execution coordination. When you make a swap or trade, Infinex calculates the best path across supported venues and chains, then submits that transaction through your wallet. Mechanic version. You press the gas, the transmission decides which gear to use. You don't think about it. Coder version. This is aggregation logic plus contract level orchestration, not a new execution layer. For perpetuals, Infinex plugs into existing perps infrastructure instead of building its own matching engine. That's deliberate. They chose battle-tested execution over ego. Mechanic version. They didn't build a new engine. They dropped in a proven one and tuned the controls. Coder version. They integrate with existing perps venues and let them do what they already do well. Gas abstraction is handled at the contract layer. You don't need to hold every native gas token. The platform manages that complexity behind the scenes. That's not magic. That's careful transaction design. Now here's the part we need to be honest about. Because Infinex sits on top of other protocols, it inherits their risk. If a chain is congested, Infinex feels it. If a venue has an issue, Infinex must route around it. This is execution risk, not protocol risk. Mechanic version. If the road is jammed, the dashboard can't fix traffic. Coder version. This is dependency risk, not consensus risk. So the technical takeaway is simple. Infinex isn't trying to reinvent crypto. It's trying to make crypto usable without fear. Today, that means non-custodial wallets with passkeys, gas abstraction, routing, swaps, and perps through a proven execution venue. But the way this is built matters. Hyperliquid is the primary perps engine right now, not because it's the only option, but because it's the one that meets the bar today. The system itself is designed to support additional execution venues, smarter order logic, and broader asset types over time without changing how the user interacts with the platform. Mechanic version. They didn't weld the hood shut. Coder version. This isn't hard-coded dependency, it's orchestration. That doesn't mean everything is coming tomorrow. It means the architecture doesn't paint them into a corner. If it works, users stop thinking about wallets, gas, routing, and venues. If it fails, they notice immediately. And that brings us to the only question that actually matters next. Are people actually using it? They chose battle-tested execution over ego. Mechanic version. They didn't build a new engine. They dropped in a proven one and tuned the controls. Coder version. They integrate with existing perps venues and let them do what they already do well. Gas abstraction is handled at the contract layer. You don't need to hold every native gas token. The platform manages that complexity behind the scenes. That's not magic. That's careful transaction design. Now, here's the part we need to be honest about. Because Infinex sits on top of other protocols, it inherits their risk. If a chain is congested, Infinex feels it. If a venue has an issue, Infinex must route around it. This is execution risk, not protocol risk. Mechanic version. If the road is jammed, the dashboard can't fix traffic. Coder version. This is dependency risk, not consensus risk. So the technical takeaway is simple. This is where a lot of projects fall apart. Is anyone actually walking the lot, or is this just expensive rent? Here's the honest answer. Infinex is early, but the usage we're seeing is the right kind of early. This isn't retail hype yet. No TikTok swarms, no meme-driven volume spikes. What you are seeing is intentional usage. Traders tired of juggling wallets. Users who want perps access without living in 5 browser tabs. People who already understand DeFi and want it to feel less fragile. That matters. Dealerships don't win with day one crowds. They win with repeat customers. Right now, usage shows up in a few clear ways. People are logging in with passkeys and moving assets without seed phrase friction. Users are actually executing swaps and trades through the platform. They're not just clicking around, they're coming back. That's the earliest signal a dealership has legs. Let's be clear, this is not mass adoption, not yet. This is power user adoption. And that's exactly who you want first. Because if power users won't stay, retail never does. So the takeaway is simple. The lot isn't packed, but it's not empty either. And the people walking it are there because the experience is smoother than what they were doing before. That's not hype, that's signal. Now that we know there are actual drivers on the lot, the next thing we need to check is whether the fuel system makes sense. Now that we know people are actually walking the lot, we need to talk about the fuel. And remember, tokenomics is just a fancy word for fuel. How much is in the tank, how fast it gets added, and whether the engine can burn it without flooding. Infinex runs on the INX token. Total supply is 10 billion tokens. That tells you right away, this is not a scarcity play. This isn't digital gold. This is a throughput model. Loyalty rewards, fee reductions, gas subsidies, buybacks tied to real usage. That's the design. Now let's talk about how fuel enters the system, because this is where people either panic or misunderstand what's happening. A large portion of INX was allocated early through patron NFTs and incentive programs. That means fuel is coming in gradually, not dumped all at once. Think steady fuel trucks, not one massive tanker unloading overnight. First, patron unlocks. This is the biggest bucket. Patron tokens unlock daily over roughly 2 years with vesting that runs through October 2027. No cliffs, but constant supply that must be absorbed by usage. Second, team fuel. 20% of supply is allocated to the team. And here's the key detail. That fuel is locked until October 2026. No team selling before then. After that, it unlocks slowly over the following year. That's alignment, but it's also a future checkpoint the market will care about. Third, public sale fuel. 5% from the Sonar sale is locked until January 2027. There is an early unlock option, but it requires paying a fee back to the protocol. That discourages reckless dumping while still allowing rational exits. Fourth, treasury fuel. About 16% of supply sits with the foundation and was unlocked at launch. This fuel is meant for liquidity, partnerships, and keeping the lights on. This is trust-based fuel, and it stays on the dashboard at all times. Now, what does INX actually do once it's circulating? Holding INX lowers fees. Holding INX subsidizes gas. And most importantly, protocol revenue is used to buy back INX from the open market and lock it. No usage, no support. More usage, more fuel burned. So here's the honest takeaway. INX is not a buy it and forget it token. It only works if the dealership gets busy. And that leads us straight into the roadmap. Let's ground this, because roadmaps are where a lot of projects start selling dreams instead of showing work. So we're only talking about what's actually live and what's clearly being built next. Right now, the core is live. Swaps, perpetuals, advanced order types, portfolio tracking. This is not a concept build. This is a working showroom with real inventory and real users. The wallet and account layer is also active. Passkey-based wallets, account management, asset movement across chains, spam filtering, and safety tools. This is the unglamorous stuff, and it's exactly what keeps users from leaving. Multi-chain support is already in place. They didn't try to support everything at once. They brought up the major execution environments and made sure they work before expanding. Now what's coming? More integrations, more order tooling, expanded wallet controls, broader access points like mobile and extensions. And notice what's missing. There's no everything everywhere tomorrow. No logo slapping, no promise creep. They're filling out the dealership one section at a time. The takeaway here is simple. The main offering is live. It works. And the roadmap is about expanding responsibly. Now we need to talk about where this can break. A lot of wallets are trying to integrate more. Swaps, bridges, portfolio views. But they still assume you already know how to manage keys, recover yourself, and glue 5 apps together when something breaks. Infinex is trying to collapse the entire workflow into one place. Wallet creation, key management, recovery, gas handling, routing, trading, perps, portfolio. That's why this is different. Now we actually downloaded the wallet, and credit where it's due, it's clean. Setup was smooth. UX makes sense. Nothing felt sketchy or duct taped. But here's the knock, and it's real. There is no mobile app yet. To be fair, one is in the works. So this isn't a deal breaker, but it is a pause. Because a lot of real moves don't happen at a desk. They happen on a phone. Checking positions, managing risk, making quick adjustments. It's hard to be in front of a computer all the time. So right now, this is a pass, but not a complete. The core experience is strong. The direction makes sense. Because every dealership looks good when the lot is quiet. The real test is what happens when traffic picks up, or when something goes wrong. First, execution risk. Infinex isn't a protocol with one job. It's an interface sitting on top of a lot of moving parts. Chains, dexes, perps venues, wallet infrastructure. Nothing breaks in isolation. If something upstream has an issue, Infinex has to route around it fast without the user feeling it. That's hard. Second, UX trust risk. When you abstract complexity, you also abstract understanding. One bad experience, one confusing failure, one stuck transaction, and trust erodes quickly. Dealerships live and die on trust. Third, inventory discipline. If they add too much junk too fast, the lot fills up but confidence drops. Good dealerships say no more than they say yes. Fourth, token supply pressure. Unlocks are front-loaded. That's not a secret. That's math. If usage doesn't scale fast enough, price feels it. Fifth, competition. Nothing here is uncopyable. Other wallets can improve UX. Other platforms can abstract gas. The moat is execution and habit, not exclusive tech. None of these risks are fatal by default, but pretending they don't exist is how people get wrecked. Now let's zoom out to the wallet landscape. But until mobile is live, this dealership is missing a major entrance. That's the checkpoint. Now let's talk about the money. All right, now we're at everyone's favorite part. Show me the MOOO Law. Before we go any further, let's be clear. Every number you're about to hear comes straight from the head of technical analysis in the garage, Lulu. No vibes, no Twitter math, no hopium. Just numbers. Right now, the total crypto market is about $2.59 trillion. INX is trading around 1.5 cents. Circulating supply is roughly 2 billion tokens. That puts the current market cap around $30 million, with a fully diluted value around 150 million. That's today. Now let's fast forward to a world where crypto hits $20 trillion. Scenario 1, cruise control. INX captures 0.01%. That's a $2 billion market cap. Price around 20 cents, about a 13x. Scenario 2, traction. Usage grows. Buybacks absorb supply. INX captures 0.05%. That's a $10 billion market cap. Price around $1, about a 65x. Scenario 3, full MOOO. INX captures 0.2%. That's a $40 billion market cap. Price around $4, a 260x. Now the black swan. Mobile slips, trust breaks, adoption stalls, unlocks keep coming. Price doesn't participate even in a strong market. No drama, no conspiracy, just mechanics. So here's the takeaway. INX doesn't need to win crypto. It needs to win habits. If it does, the math works. If it doesn't, the math works the other way just as cleanly. That's the MOOO Law. All right, before we put a number on this thing, we need to do two things. First, none of this is financial advice. Not investment advice, not trading advice, not trust me bro advice. This is analysis, education, and one very opinionated garage. Second, we told you earlier that all the charts, data, and number work comes straight from the head of technical analysis in the garage, Lulu. Lulu is incredible at reading charts. She doesn't chase candles. She doesn't miss levels. But there is one important detail we need to remind you of. Lulu is a pig, a real one. 4 hooves, a tail. So if you're about to take financial advice from an internet pig, well, that one's on you. All right, let's hit the dyno. Product and UX gets an 8.5 out of 10. The product is real, it's live, and on desktop, it's smooth. Everything feels intentional. Nothing feels rushed or duct taped. The lack of a mobile app keeps this from being higher, but the foundation is strong. Problem being solved gets an 8.0 out of 10. DeFi is still too fragmented, too many steps, too many foot guns. Infinex genuinely reduces friction for users who already want to be on chain. It's a real problem, just not mandatory infrastructure yet. Team and execution gets an 8.7 out of 10. This is a seasoned builder who has survived cycles. They shipped. They adjusted when pushed back. They didn't disappear. That matters more than hype. Tech and architecture gets an 8.2 out of 10. No magic, no reinventing blockchains, just solid integration, abstraction, and routing. Execution risk exists, but the architecture makes sense. Token design and economics gets a 7.6 out of 10. INX is a throughput token, not a scarcity play. The unlock schedule is heavy but transparent. Buybacks help, but only if usage shows up. The token earns relevance only if the product earns loyalty. Adoption trajectory gets a 7.5 out of 10. Early, but not empty. Power users first, no hype wave yet, scale still needs to be proven. Risk profile gets a 7.3 out of 10. Execution risk, mobile delivery risk, wallet layer trust risk. No hidden landmines, but no safety net either. Now let's add it up. The total garage score is an 8.1 out of 10. This is a tuned build, an early stage dealership with execution dependent upside. Not a meme, not vapor, but not finished either. If there's a project you want on the lift, drop it in the comments. We read them all. Yours might be next. And if you want to see what we're building behind the scenes, check out the website gurucryptogarage.guru. It's free. Click around, break it, tell us what you think. Until next time, let it rip.